Not really. We're gonna talk about this game. I do want to do like a review. So I'm gonna start. Again, I usually do it between graphics, story, and gameplay. Those are usually my three things. And I'll start with what. I'll start with graphics. It's good. I mean, it's fine. It's 2007. So my expectations aren't really high. I mean, the city looks fine enough. I don't really have any issues. There's pop-in, but it's 2007. I'm playing on a 360, so I don't expect the world out of this. So it holds up fine enough. I don't. If you're approaching this game with the idea that it's a 2007 game, I don't think you'll be disappointed. So I don't really have much to say about the graphics. The cutscenes sometimes look, the character models are a little janky, but again, it's 2007. Like J. Jonah Jameson always looks like he has like a chicken kind of like gullet going on, so that's a little weird. The character models are a little janky, but they don't really do feet either. I think Dr. Connors was like in a hospital bed and his feet were like stubs. But whatever, it's 2007. I don't have high expectations, so I don't think that breaks the game or particularly makes the game. Sometimes during the QuickTime event cutscenes, it looks pretty good. If you're gonna shout the whole time, Toby, I'm gonna change you back to your red suit. All right, so next is, let's go with gameplay. I think the combat is pretty fun with the red suit. The red suit and the black suit. The black suit plays a little differently. The black suit is more overpowered, and that's fun. There's like a rage mode that you can like really do some heavy damage to enemies, and it's really fun to play as. The combat is decent. I don't have an issue with it. I had a good time doing combos when I did combos. It's more button mashy than anything, but if you want to get good with it, you can get good with it and have fun with it. I don't have an issue with the combat. I think the combat is actually pretty fun. The black suit is a lot better, I think. But the combat across the board is pretty fun. There's some nice combos you can do. There's some special abilities you can do that are pretty fun. If not sometimes useless. The pinball one, usually you don't even land on your targets, so it's like a big waste of your special meter. Slowing down time for your spider sense is pretty good too. I think that's this is pre-Arkham, so there's no like hard counter mechanic in this game like there would in other games, but it's still as a prerequisite to that. You can hold down LB, and if your enemy's gonna attack you, they'll do a dodge, and you can do a counter. It's not anything like crazy, but it's pretty decent, and it's, I don't know if it was in the other Spider-Man games like that. I've never played Spider-Man 2. I'm guessing it probably wasn't like that, but it's a cool counter mechanic, and I appreciate it being in the game. Anything else for gameplay? Web swinging. Web swinging is pretty good. It's not as precise as like your Insomniac Spider-Man games, and it's a little harder to keep your momentum in this game than like even Web of Shadows. It's like if you land on the ground, you can like, if you tap A at the right time, you can kind of keep your momentum and keep going. You'll do a nice little jump. I would have been nice in this game. If you hit a wall here or if you land, you've pretty much lost your momentum. You have to start again. It's a little more skill based. I don't know if that's what their plan was. It might have just been at the time, this is the best that could be done. So I don't know if it was intentional that they were like, oh, there's a high skill ceiling, but if you get good, you'll be good. If you get good, you'll be good. And I wouldn't mind swinging around in this game. It's good. Yeah, it's good. I don't really have anything more to say about the swinging than that. There's some tricks you can do. If you do LT and RT, you can do like a double. You can do like a two-handed kind of swing. I mean, it's a nice touch. It's more aesthetic than anything. There's like a zip line you can do to get across the city if you kind of want to pseudo fast travel. Unfortunately, I think this is the only one in the game that is available at all times, but you can go either side and kind of swing, kind of do a nice little fast travel to the other side of the city, off the Daily Bugle. Anything else for gameplay? I think that's, well, QuickTime events. Let's talk about QuickTime events. They're not, I'm not anti QuickTime event. I'm usually fine with QuickTime event. Like one of my favorite games that I loved the QuickTime events was like Naruto Shippuden. um, or Naruto Ninja Storm or whatever. Naruto Shippuden Ninja Storm, like 2, 3, and 4 on like the 360 and maybe the one it came on. Those were really fun QuickTime events. Those were like events to like do really cool cutscenes, but kind of lock them behind a QuickTime event. But you had time to react generally. In this one, you don't have enough time to react. There's usually they'll stack them, so you might have to do LB and X, but you have like a second to hit both buttons, like zero point 0.5 seconds each, and you don't. I find you don't have enough time to react. Maybe it's that I'm playing on an older controller and it sticks a little bit more. So it made it harder for me, but it's like I found myself like really just rushing to like hit these buttons. I feel like the window could be a little more forgiving and it would be better because you shouldn't really die in a QuickTime event. I've died and had to restart in a QuickTime event. And in QuickTime events, you get multiple chances, but I have literally died and had to restart. I don't think my reflexes are that bad. I think the window is not great. So that was kind of a downer. It really interrupts the flow of boss fights. Oh, I didn't talk about boss fights. Boss fights are pretty decent in this game. I didn't like any of the movie. I'm gonna be honest. I didn't really. Well, I like the first Sandman fight and the first New Goblin fight. I'm really thinking of the Venom and Sandman fight at the end. That was not good because there wasn't really much variety to that fight. The New Goblin gameplay that they really throw in at the end was not good. It just wasn't good. And I get you have to put them in for like the Sandman bit, but I don't know. I would have preferred even, I don't want to say a QuickTime event, but just a QuickTime event other than me just flying around, throwing bombs over and over, just flying in a circle, throwing bombs. It's a bad fight. The Venom fight was also kind of boring. I just go around, punch a thing, and then punch a sound thing. Venom gets stunned, and I punch him, and then I rinse and repeat. It was pretty boring, and it's other fights are better. I liked the Scorpion fight. I liked the Rhino fight. I liked the first Sandman fight. I liked the first New Goblin fight. It was like interesting, and I wasn't locked in a cage for the most part, and I was able to kind of like do. I was able to move around a little more freely, and not get locked into this gameplay cycle with those fights. I think a lot of the fights are really good. The Lizard, the Scorpion, even like the Kraven one, which is the kind of drop Kraven. Kraven's in for one mission and he just gets away and we never talk about him again. But I like the Kraven fight. A lot of the fights are really good. I find that the last fight they didn't really put their best foot forward. I don't think for the finale, which is weird. But otherwise, I mean, I think the gameplay is pretty good. I think it's worth playing for the gameplay almost alone. But let's talk about the story. The story it's a movie tie-in game, and I don't know if that's an excuse. I'm not really using it as an excuse. I'm using it to kind of set your expectations, because the expectations for movie tie-in games have been just so, god awful, and they shouldn't be. I'm not using it as an excuse. I'm just saying, like, if you think a movie tie-in game is bad, you're not going to be wrong here with the story. The story for the main story, the one that ties into the Spider-Man 3 movie, it's just so like glossed over. It's really not even. It's as if it was like a thing put in out of obligation. There was more care put into side missions than there was the main story. They really skip over motivations for why Peter like hates Sandman, or why New Goblin hates Peter. They really gloss over like how Eddie kind of hates Peter. They do like one mission with him, but it was like we didn't even really have a rapport. A lot of things just don't make sense. It's just like the loosest logic they could apply to like string these events together. They do. And I think there's like 5. I really think there's the Mary Jane thrill ride, where you get the Venom, or Venom shows up, the symbiote shows up. There's the Sandman one. There's the New Goblin one. There's the Eddie Brock one. And then there's the final one. There's 5 missions, like, for the whole Spider-Man 3 movie. There's 5 missions. And I think it's kind of weak to do it that way, because that's really the showcase of the game, is the movie missions. Like, your side missions shouldn't be better than your main story. I don't think they should both be good, but your main story shouldn't just be a mess. On the other hand, I really liked the Scorpion quest line because that was a more put together story than the main mission. But even then, that one was really fun. The lizard one, even though I'm not a big fan of sewer sections, I liked the lizard storyline. The Gene DeWolf stuff I liked. The arsenic candy, all of the gang stuff. Well, maybe not the Dragon Tales, but the arsenic candy and the apocalypse stuff I liked. The Kingpin stuff I liked like a lot. So I'm kind of just surprised the main one was given so little care, but maybe that's just a comment on the quality of the Spider-Man 3 movie, I guess. Um, yeah, yeah. I think the side stuff is really good in this game for the most part. I just think the main story is not good. Just to kind of put a bow on it. Oh, and I want to talk about the black suit a little bit more. They don't give you a ton of time with the black suit. I think if you just rush through the missions, because there are missions just available for the black suit that you have to do to like progress the story. Um, that's like 2 hours though of missions for the black suit, and I like the black suit kind of section of the game. I like it a lot, but I wish they kind of did more. So overall, I'm gonna say this game is. I think I like it better than Web of Shadow. I think Web of Shadow has better combat gameplay, and the swing's a little more precise. Um, but the story in this game, except for the main story, the side missions, the side content is leaps and bounds above Web of Shadows. So, if I had to say, if you had to choose between Web of Shadows or Spider-Man 3, I think you'd have a better time with Spider-Man 3. I think you'd be less bored with Spider-Man 3 than you would be with Web of Shadows, which is a shame. I like Web of Shadows. It's just there's so much dead air in this game. In that game, this game doesn't have a lot of dead air, a lot of useless side missions that you have to do. So I think this game is worth getting if for whatever reason you have a 360 or a PS3, and you can get your hands on probably an overpriced copy of Spider-Man 3, then it's not. There are worse things you can spend money on. I think if you've never played it, I think it's a relatively good time, and it's worth getting. All right, yeah, that's about it. That's my review. That's my gosh darn rating. It's decent. It's better than you'd think it would be. Um, Now, I guess while I'm here, I'll talk about my hopes for Insomniac Spider-Man 2. Two, having played two Spider-Man Venom games in the past 2 months, I can say I want more time with the black suit, and I want more time for the black suit to slowly kind of change Peter's character. I don't want it to be something that's rushed, because in this game it's rushed. In Web of Shadows, it's a little better, but it's the emphasis is not really put on it in terms of character interactions. You know what I mean? It's like sure you have choices in Web of Shadow to be evil or bad, but there's not a lot of outside of that characters reacting to you using the black suit or just like subtle little nuances of you just being a little more, I don't know, whatever the symbiote does to you evil. I think it's kind of a loose word to put on, but like there's not subtleties in you being annoyed or more arrogant or more evil in Web of Shadow. So I'm hoping there's like a subtle change in Peter's character over like a significant amount of time of gameplay. Um, One thing I like about like the Spider-Man 3 movie is there's a moment where Peter is like he uses the suit, he beats Sandman, and he's like looking at it in his closet and he like kind of like throws it aside or something like that. Like he's like, oh, this has turned me and I shouldn't really be this way. Um, but then eventually he kind of accepts it. That, you know, he kind of like takes on the characteristics of the black suit, but there's like a resistance to it. I would like to see a resistance to the suit and then kind of an acceptance to I need this power for this thing, and then kind of a rejection of it. I think would be a cool arc. I don't think I've ever seen a really good That's not true. I think Spectacular Spider-Man, their Venom symbiote arc is good, but it's a thing that's like, again, it's over multiple episodes. Like you can see the change in the character. Like it's not a one and done kind of thing. So hopefully, like I have a lot of faith in Insomniac Spider-Man, or in that team developing that Spider-Man games. I'm hoping they just put the love and care into it. If the story is at the same caliber as the last game, I'm good. I don't need it to be better than that. You know what I mean? Like if it's on the same level, I'll be happy. So I'm hoping, because I really feel like that's the only way to tell a Venom story, and maybe they'll surprise me. But I think the best way to tell a Venom story is slowly showing the change in Peter's character. I think that'd be really cool. And so, yeah, I think that's about it. Hope to see you guys later this week when I play it. I hope you guys tune in. Hopefully it's a good time. I really can't wait to play it. I've never played a Spider-Man game on release because I've never had a PlayStation until like now. So I've always been late to the party. So it'd be interesting to experience like my favorite like superheroes new game, like as it comes out, like with everybody. So, I can't wait to play. Hope to see you guys then. If you want to leave a like, forbid subscribe, you can. You don't have to if you don't want to, but I really appreciate it if you do. I'll see you guys later this week. Bye.